Is 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and my name is Chris, and this is Bar 911-970. As usual, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to listen to what I have to say, and let's get into it. All right. I'm very happy to read one of my comments from one of my subscribers, because this inspired this video, and I want people to get this and get this down to a science, that the system is not the way you think it is. And it's geared towards setting you up to fail by trusting the same system over and over again. So I'm going to do a screen capture really quick, so this way you could read along with me. And obviously I don't have to worry about fair use or anything, because this is something that's on my own channel. So bear with me a second. Even if I do this in advance, it never sets up right, so it takes a second. Okay. All right, there we go. So hopefully you'll be able to read this, but I'm going to read it anyway. And this subscriber's name is Devil's Advocate Survival, and I will post the link to his channel. If you want to subscribe, please do. So that will be in the description once the video has been uploaded. And this is regards to the video I did yesterday about the good, the bad, and the ugly that's coming. I hope you watch it if you haven't had the opportunity. And this is what he writes. He says, well, I like your format. I think you are saying something that people would understand. But if you are voting for president, you are not awake to the truth. And I've been saying this for a long time now, so I definitely agree with that. It's all a big lie to keep you on the right hand while the left hand steals your wallet. Let me explain. Okay. You have never voted for president ever. And by you, he means everybody. No American since the founding of the country has ever voted for president. Sure, you may have went and checked a box on a piece of paper and think you were voting for president. But the reality is, presidential candidates shouldn't even be on the ballot in the first place. And I'll get this part because this is important. It's your local and state elected officials who decide who the president will be. That's why we have electoral votes. They don't go by how many millions of people vote. It goes by the electorals in each state. So that's not done by the people. That's your quote-unquote elected officials who are supposed to represent you. So I'll continue. He says, and if you think for a minute that you are deciding on your behalf because of your popular vote, you are sadly mistaken. They can choose who they want no matter what your community says. That is the law. Written in 1787, ratified in 1789, and signed into law 1791. Those dates can be argued depending on what you read. Either way, it could be read specifically in the Constitution of the United States of America, Article 2, Section 1. And if you do read that, they do talk about the electoral vote. So it's true. It's not the people that decide, although they make you think that. So he continues. So as you're sitting in your home, feeling good about yourself because you took the time out of your day to check a box in a little booth and got a I voted sticker to wear on your shirt, watching the mass propaganda machine as they keep you in suspense on where the voting count is on each state, remember this: you didn't vote for president. When the propaganda machine announces who the winner is, remember this: they are lying through their teeth, because the electors don't vote until January of 2017. Read the Constitution, and I've said this all the time. I've told people, go get the Constitution. I mean, you could buy a pamphlet version of it for under $4 or $5. You can get it right on eBay. They'll send it right to your door. I have one. It says, and ask the people who are running in your local and state elections who they are voting for. That is where your votes really counts. This is not a democracy. Mob does not rule. This is a constitutional republic. And that's true. I've been telling people all the time, this started out as a republic. Remember, it says, and to the republic for which it stands. It doesn't say to the democracy. And then he says at the end, in his conclusion, he says, it would behoove people to know the difference, so when it comes time to rebuild, they will know what really went wrong. Wake up, people. And I have to say, that pretty much says everything you need to hear. That this system is not what you think it is. And if you actually look up Article 2, Section 1 of the United States of America, the Constitution, it will tell you about the fact that the electors of each state are the ones that actually vote. And they're supposed to be tabulating our votes, and whoever ends up with the larger number gets those points from that state. So we're assuming that they're going to be honest in tabulating the votes and going the way the people want. Now, how many people out there will say that their government is trustworthy? That they believe that they are going to do nothing but be honest? And we've seen what happened with the electoral votes in the Democratic National Convention, where they made sure that the electors voted the opposite of what the people wanted. The people wanted Bernie Sanders. And who got in? Hillary Clinton. Why? Because they don't care about the popular vote. They go for what is going to benefit them the most. Not we the people. Who do you think, ladies and gentlemen, would do a better job for the people of the two? Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton? Hands down, I guarantee you majority of people would have said Bernie Sanders. So if that's the case, how did he not get the electoral votes that we need, if that is what the majority of the people wanted? It's because the votes do not work the way you think they do. It's a scam that makes you think you're involved. And that's why to this day, even from people who are quote-unquote awoken, will say, well, if you don't vote, then that's showing you are not participating and you're part of the problem. No, it's quite the opposite. And here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Let me ask this question. If anybody wants to put it in the comment section here, because we have the live chat, so you're more than welcome to chat if you want. Let me take a quick little survey. How many of you that either live in the United States of America Corporation or are familiar with the United States Corporation, how many of you think that our government is doing a great job? I wonder how many people would say that this government is doing a great job for the people. Now, they might be doing a great job for the extremely wealthy and for the corporations and fellow politicians. But how many of you out there that are listening to this video can say over the years of your lifetime that our government has been doing things that we want? Unless you're a multi-billionaire or you get paid to say, yes, things are fine, I'm sure the majority of people would say, wait a minute, you know what? It's not going well. Where are all the mom and pop stores, ladies and gentlemen? They're gone. Where's all the competition? It's gone. All the jobs are overseas. Where is the wealth when we're trillions of dollars in debt? When you vote, you're saying we want to keep this system alive. You are feeding the beast. Now just imagine if you had somebody like, for example, Hitler on life support. And he's basically, for whatever reason, he's a vegetable. But you're keeping him alive, and you're spending millions of dollars to keep him alive to do nothing. Knowing that even if you helped him, he could probably continue to go do evil. Would you waste your time and energy on that? And this is why I tell people you don't want to participate, because what you're doing is your participation is saying that you believe in this government. Because that's all you've been grown up to know, because that's all we've had, so it must be right, even though they've changed it, ratified it, and went bankrupt back in 1933. It's no longer the Constitution that you think it is. That's why they have the word con in Constitution. That when you go and participate, you're saying you want this system to continue to live and thrive. Now, if you don't participate in it, we can allow it to fall apart and die and start anew. Create a new system. I don't have the answers, but I know doing the same thing just because it's familiar is the same as living with an abusive husband or wife, because it's just easier. You have to put it in those proper contexts. Just imagine if you were in an abusive relationship where either your husband or wife, boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever, is physically and mentally abusive. and you've been with them for years. So you're like, you know what? I've been here for years. We have, we're married, or we've been together so long. Everything's in our, both our names, and it's just easier just to stay in that situation. Well, whose fault is that? And Renee, please keep on topic of what we're talking about. If you're going to just randomly say things, we're going to not allow you to make your comments. So please focus on what we're talking about. Thank you. So, yes, and Oleo Butter says, and this is true, and I've made a video showing this, that the national debt has doubled under Obama. Now, look at things like, for example, Black Lives Matter, which, by the way, it should be all lives matter. But last I checked, wasn't there a black president for the past 8 years? And look at all the problems and all the death and murders and the poverty that we've had. Why does he get a free pass? And we know people like Hillary are just going to follow along suit. So my point is, no matter who you vote for, when was the last time a Republican or a Democrat made this country a better place? And yet we keep participating in it because we think of it like an abusive relationship. Well, we're already in it, so we might as well stay, because I don't want to be by myself. I don't want to have to start over, because that's scary. No, it's not. You ever go on a first date and you're so excited because it's something new, you don't know what to expect? Remember when you were a kid, the first day of school, how excited you were? Because you were excited and you didn't know what was going on, and then halfway through the semester, when you knew what was going on and all the homework you had to do wasn't as fun? Why do people always have to look at things negatively? Like the things I talk about, people always take it as the glass is half empty. What I'm trying to say is we have to take a system that is not working and stop feeding it life by participating in it. And if we all walked away and said we no longer consent to these criminal acts that are clearly for the elite of this country and for the powerfully rich and not for the people, we walk away and we could fix the problem. Because like as Aqualung 2092 says, it's a two-party dictatorship. That's absolutely true. How is that freedom? How is that choice when you get two choices, Democrat or Republican? Nothing ever else. When was the last time we had an independent president? When did we ever have a poor president? You notice they have to have millions of dollars. Donald Trump uses his own money. Hillary Clinton uses other people's money. You think the average person like you and I could become president? People say this all the time to me. It's like, Chris, how come you don't run for president? Well, first of all, I'm not going to run in a corrupt system because I'm never going to get a light of day. And I'd probably be assassinated if I even got headlines. But I don't have the money it takes to become president. So what they're telling you is you have to be in an elitist group and have lots of money, or at least lots of connections. And do you think people are going to donate money to a presidential campaign without getting something back for it? Do you really think multi-billionaires are going to donate their money and not expect anything in return? That's why things like the Clinton Foundation is formed, because it fools people into thinking, oh, it's a foundation, it's there for charity. If you actually looked at the majority of the charities in the world, you will see that they profit incredibly well, that the people who run them buy properties, buy homes, buy fancy cars, take nice fancy vacations. How long do we have to continue to be lied to? So, there's an old saying that says, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And Saint 31 says, we pay them to defend us. Okay, well, then how do you explain things like 9/11? If they defend us, when they knew who it was before the buildings fell, but couldn't stop it. We have the highest paid military, and we spend more money in our military than the 10 nearest countries, and I think 8 of them are our allies, and yet we couldn't stop them. They don't defend us. You know, Benjamin Franklin said a quote a long time ago that says, when you give up liberty for security, you will end up with neither. And the idea is to get you scared. Who do you think causes the very things that they need to, quote-unquote, defend us from? When you look into things like ISIS, you learn that it's a CIA-funded facility. When they talked about the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, they forget to tell you that we sold them to them back in the 80s. You know, the problem is people just want to regurgitate things that they hear from the very people who corrupt you. That is not intelligence. Wisdom is learning things through your own experience. Intelligence is having somebody else tell you how to think and what to say. Why do you think you see so many people calling Hillary Clinton Hitlery or a crooked Hillary? Why? Because Donald Trump has said it so many times that people regurgitate it and they repeat what somebody else says. Where are the individuals? These are the people that are going to make the change, not somebody that's going to regurgitate what they've been told by the very corrupt system. And I'm sorry if that doesn't sound, you know, like I'm pandering. All right, so he says, Saint, was I read my other comment, says, why is our military not defending us against the enemies within? Because they're part of the corporation. If you haven't seen my video, The Truth About the United States, Law, and You, the extended version, go to my playlist, or just go to my videos and go to the most viewed. It's the most viewed video I have. It's got over 300,000 views. It's an hour and a half long. So if you're one of those people that cannot take information longer than 5 minutes, you're not going to enjoy it. But if you're a person that wants to know what's really going on, it's very much worth your time. Because unlike things like Suicide Squad and Sausage Party and Ghostbusters, this is actually going to educate you with the 90 minutes that you view it. And it will teach you that the United States is nothing more than a corporate name that's registered in Washington, D.C., which is owned by the Bank of London, which is basically run by the Vatican. And our military, that's why they get sent overseas to take other people's property and make sure that the U.S. dollar is the world currency. And I'm going to make a video all about that to let people know about this. It's unfortunate that people don't want to research their own things. Stop listening to mainstream media news. I even listen barely, because I don't even have a TV with cable. I'll watch a few clips here and there on YouTube, but that's just to kind of see what these idiots are talking about for research. I don't believe a word that they say on any news channel. It's all about, and yes, Saint 31 has got it. It's the Act of 1871. I've been talking about this since this channel started. And people don't want to hear it because, you know, they say it's crazy. Well, you ever hear the expression, truth is stranger than fiction? So when it comes to voting, you are saying you believe in this government so much that you want to keep it alive instead of letting it die so we could begin anew. You cannot have a new beginning until you have an ending. And we are clinging on to this system that clearly does not work for the masses, like it's the only thing in existence. So until people let go of the old system and no longer participate in it, we're guilty by association. Because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And every 4 years, we think the next person that comes along is going to save us. That to me is insanity, because has it happened? How many presidents have we had since this country was founded? How many of them have changed this country into a utopia? Can you name one? How many times do we have to continue to be misled and told everything that we want to hear before we understand they don't have our interest in mind when they do the things that they do? So until people turn their backs and no longer participate, nothing's going to change. And I'll give you a prime example how easy that is. You don't need a revolution, because when you fire a gun, they fire back. They create more laws. They have the control. They have the upper hand. Why do you think they want things like the Second Amendment abolished and have more stricter gun laws? Because they don't want you to be able to protect yourself. You can't win that way. You can't fight fire with fire. I've said this so many times, and you don't even need to. I'll give you a prime example. Let's say all of Las Vegas, which makes millions of dollars probably a day on the suckers of people with the hopes that they're going to make it rich there. Let's say you find out that every casino in Las Vegas is absolutely corrupt. They rigged the games. They hire magicians to do card tricks so you can't see what they're doing. You find out that there's no way you could win because they rig everything. Well, there might be one or two people that can go there and kind of trick the system and take a couple of dollars here and there. But overall, the average person is going to be fleeced. So how do you stop it? Well, just what do you think would happen if all of a sudden all the people that used to go to the casinos no longer went? And nobody is in Las Vegas spending a dime. How long do you think that city would survive? A week? Maybe a month? And then it would disappear. Did you need to burn a building to the ground? Did you need to shoot anybody or kidnap anyone and do harm? Because remember, ladies and gentlemen, two wrongs don't make a right. You can't complain about, governments killing and torturing people by you going and killing and torturing other people for your own idealistic viewpoint. But if you walk away from the corrupt system, it suffocates. The best way to extinguish a fire is to smother it. So if you don't like what the corporations are doing, stop buying their products. If you don't like what the banks are doing to you, stop putting your money in the banks. If you don't like what a government's doing, stop participating in it, thinking this time it will be different. And until people can get that through their thick, stubborn skulls, nothing is going to change. And if you expect me to be pandering and being nice and saying, oh, you're all sweet and innocent and, it's not your fault. No, until people take responsibility for not only what they do, but what they don't do, nothing's going to change. And last time I checked, I still live in this country, and I get affected by what everybody else does. Until people learn that they have to make the action themselves and do it the right way, nothing's going to change. We've had nothing but revolutions and wars and protests and fighting, and what has changed? And Zen AV says, well, it's not like we could walk away without them coming for us. Okay, so you're telling me if 350 million Americans walked away, they're coming for you? That's Alex Jones talk. Think about it. There are a couple of thousand people in government, and last I checked, most people in government are probably over the age of 75. You don't think if the military decides to walk away too, that they have women and children? What about the police? You ever remember when we had Hurricane Sandy? All of a sudden, some of the areas that were most hit, there were no police there. You know why? Because they were worried about their own friends and family. So if you think if every single American walked away and said no more, that the government's coming after you, that's paranoia. Go to Alex Jones. He'll tell you that they'll come after you. They can't. And that's what they want you to think. We are the masses. They are the minority. They force you into thinking that. If all of a sudden the police force and the military realized what they really are, helping an industrial corporation by stealing and killing other people's property and other people's citizens for their own profit, and they realize it's time to stand down, what do? And Zen AV, I'm sorry, dude, you have no clue. You're saying you are forced to participate or get thrown into the court system and end up in prison. Then where's your freedom then? If that is true, Zen Envy, if you are forced to participate, then you have no clue what the 13th Amendment is, because the 13th Amendment says that slavery is defined as involuntary servitude, which is exactly what you're saying. If you're forced to participate, that is involuntary servitude. That is the definition of slavery. So you know what? You bring that in court. What are they going to do? Yes, we endorse slavery. Zanevi, I'm sorry. You are living in a paranoid, fear-based ideology. My channel is definitely not for you. You should be watching Alex Jones. You'd feel very comfortable there. If you think that this country is based on forcing people to participate or get thrown in jail, then you are living in the fear-controlled regime. And that is not a democracy. That is not a republic. So I don't know what country you live in, but you can't live here, because if you do, that's kind of sad. And I'm sorry if I have to point you out, but you really need to start researching things. And this is the problem, ladies and gentlemen. Until people start researching things instead of believing things, you're never going to know the difference. Then let me ask this. Why am I not in jail? I have been talking about this stuff since 2011. Why am I not in jail? It's all about fear. They keep you under control through fear. Okay, so Zan, it doesn't surprise me that you're not in the United States. Okay, what a surprise. So, I'm sorry, go study your history, because if you think that, then you are watching too much mainstream media, and you're watching way too much Alex Jones. And if you want to base things on fear, you are easily controlled. So I'm sorry, I hope the majority don't think the way you do. Because you are sadly mistaken, and that's how they control people. Get you to think, well, I have to participate, I have to do what they say, otherwise we're in trouble. We have, just in this country alone, 350 million people. There are 7 billion people on the planet. Let's say of the 7 billion, let's say 1 billion of them in the world run for the government. You're telling me 6 billion people are going to be controlled by 1 billion, and that's even an extreme number? Zen Envy, I'm not going to answer any more of your questions. You obviously either get paid to be here, or you just have no clue, or you're trying to antagonize. So that's the last time I even respond to your questions. Go back to school. Go do research. You don't know what you're talking about. So I'm not going to be distracted by you anymore. Say whatever ridiculous things you want. 5 Artist Liberal says they dump people down with poisoned food so they obey more. Yeah, it's in the food and water. I've been saying that all the time. If you look at your toothpaste, there's a warning label. Fluoride is poison. It's not poison enough to kill you, but it's poison enough to make you sick. If you ever look at your toothpaste, ladies and gentlemen, go to your bathroom, pull out your tube of toothpaste, and see the warning sign, the warning label on there that you probably never noticed. It's called hidden in plain sight. It says harmful if swallowed. If swallowed, call poison control. Well, let me ask you this. You ever see that warning on a bottle of milk? On a box of cereal? There's a reason for that, because there's no poison. But yet, you'll see that, and you won't think about it. For you to call poison control, that means there's poison. Why are you putting that in your mouth? So anyway, I don't want to get this into a major big thing. And yeah, Peacemaker's right. The Nazis did use fluoride. They discovered that in the internment camps. They would put the fluoride in the water, because when you are dying of thirst, you need to drink. And they'd put it in the water, people wouldn't know it. You know, if people understood pure sodium fluoride is a toxin, and people that are actually using that original sodium fluoride by itself in its original source, they have to wear hazmat suits. So anyway, you guys can think what you want. If you want to participate in a system, you're keeping it alive. If you want a new system to arise, you have to let the old fall. There's a reason why, if you have a building that's condemned and you want to build another building in that property, you can't just build it over it. You got to collapse that building, and then you have to create a new building. You have to first destroy to be able to create. There's a balance. So if people don't understand this stuff, they're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. And that's why they say, if you don't research history, you are doomed to repeat it. So what you do is up to you. So I want to thank you all for taking the time to listen. I want to hear your comments. And if you want to hit subscribe, please do. Please watch the video that I made over 3 years ago. It's called The Truth About the United States Law and You. There's a regular version and there's an extended version. There's a lot of stuff there you're going to say is crazy. But you know what? When you research things, you'll get confirmation of stuff. Stop being fooled into being afraid. Stop thinking the few can control the many. The only reason they can is they let them. There's a reason why one shepherd can control 100 cattle. It's because the cattle follow each other blindly. Just imagine what would happen if there's 1,000 cattle and 2 sheep herders, or cattle herders, cattle ranchers. And all of a sudden, those cattle scattered everywhere. What are they going to do? Nothing. They might catch a few here and there, but they can't keep them. The only reason the few can regulate the many is because the many keep following each other, and they follow you into your death. So if you want to believe somebody like Trump or Hillary is going to save the day, you will find out in about another year or two how wrong you were, and at that point, it's just too late. So stop feeding the beast, stop participating in a corrupt system, let it die, and we will create anew. That requires work, that requires effort, that requires sacrifice. You are not truly free until you can provide yourself with everything. And that's why people don't want real freedom. They want people to take care of them. And that's why they'd rather stay in an abusive relationship than be on their own and take care of themselves. Because a lot of times the abused are being taken care of by the abuser. Do you ever notice that? It's the same thing with politics. Don't be the abused anymore. Learn to walk away and have the confidence to do it. And that's why you have to prepare for things and be prepared for any situation. So, thank you for watching. I hope you all have a great day. Leave your comments, hit subscribe, check out my videos, and don't forget to have your trolls spayed or neutered. Have a great day.